as we look to connect with a miracle man, two-time middleweight champion of the world. Yeah!
What's up, man?
Long time no see.
Happy quarantine, buddy.
Hello, mate. Are you Atlanta or New York?
I'm in Atlanta right now.
Sounds like a better place to be.
For sure, definitely.
New York sounds crazy.
New York is probably the worst place to be right now. I'm happy to be here, safe, away from everything. I'm vibing, man. I'm just trying to stay safe with the fam.
You know, Dan, I think that with you, like, you're probably the best person in terms of mindset to deal with certain situations. Everyone knows your history. You come back from cancer, told you might not survive, might not walk, certainly never fight again. But before we go into the questions, what's your message to the people right now? I'm sure I said earlier in a tweet on Twitter, as much as this is difficult in a virus capacity, from a mental perspective, this is tough for people who might be out of work or people who are stuck indoors. That we know they're going to face financial struggle as well. What's the mindset to overcome challenges in that kind of situation?
Well, one thing that I've learned, especially early on in my career, when I was kind of being, fast-paced and a knucklehead, I didn't really plan for a rainy day. And when I caught cancer, remember, I completely lost everything. So my mindset was always to make sure you plan for a rainy day, because the situations where pandemics like this just came out of nowhere. You need to be ready for any and every situation. As far as the mindset goes, I mean, my mentality is you just have to just get through it, because there's really no other option. You know what the options is if you don't continue to push yourself and thrive through any and every situation that presents itself. I mean, this is probably the worst situation that the world ever seen ever in my lifetime. So, I mean, right now I'm just making sure that my family, my friends, my fans, everyone in the world, just remain safe so that, we can end this thing.
Agree. Now, listen, last time you didn't box too long ago. On a scale of craziness, how crazy was December 20th in Phoenix, Arizona against Julio Cesar Chavez? Was it just the wildest experience? From the missing the weight to the 200 beers or more in the ring after. But
hey, when I look back on it,
event and amazing memories.
A funny event for sure. I loved every bit of it, even though it was. The fans were upset, but I just think that experience in general was a good way to end the year off.
Obviously, moving up from middleweight, where you was a two-time middleweight world champion, moving up to 168. Although Chavez came in at 172 and more in that fight, how did you find that transition to 68? And do you feel like maybe you should have done it earlier in your career? Difficult one, having become a two-time world champ, but. And I know that all fighters still think they can make it, don't they? It's like Maurice Hooker was at 140. I can still make 140. I know that even in the camp to that fight, obviously you made 168 so comfortably. I know I can still make 160.
Well, I mean, in boxing, you got to make sacrifices. And I think for me, trying to push myself to the limit, because the opportunities were there at the middleweight division. So even though I didn't feel the greatest, and even though the weight stipulations that were put in every contract damn near kind of really made it impossible for me to be as great as I can be, being that I was a big middleweight anyway. I felt like maybe I should have moved up, but I mean, to give up a fight with Canelo, I don't think anyone would have done that. So I've accomplished that. I've experienced that. Now it's time to be comfortable and move on to bigger and better things. And I'm excited about the super middleweight division.
When we look back on that Canelo fight, obviously being on the inside, we got to see how difficult it was for you to make 160 for that camp particularly. But is that frustrating looking back? I mean, we all see your fight with Golovkin was epic. We all know that's a fight that could have gone either way. We felt you won that fight. But against Canelo, it was still a fairly close fight. And really, we didn't really get to see the best of Danny Jacobs because of the weight struggles in that fight. I mean, I know that hasn't been documented very much, but for me, I feel it's important to say because we saw it. I know you don't want to make excuses, but we saw it,
Yeah. Well, I just look at it like this. I mean, regardless of how you look at it, I just feel the opportunities that I've made the sacrifice for were definitely worth it. I mean, it put me in a position to have my name exposed, to, be at the biggest platforms, and just build my fan base. I've always wanted to share my story, and I've been at the biggest height in boxing, and I just feel like that's the greatest thing that I could accomplish and made the sacrifice for. So I don't regret it. But now there's something bigger and better to look forward to. So it's kind of like, you know, a new chapter in a sense, and it's going to be exciting.
Also, I will say that is quite a big pull in the background.
Oh, thank you, brother.
When we go up to 68 now, obviously 2 of those champions are from the UK. You've got Billy Joe Saunders and Callum Smith. 2 of those guys also from the States, Caleb Plant, and also Benavidez as well. How do you, I know you don't like speaking badly about, and this is not about speaking badly, but how do you rate those guys from 1 to 4 in your honest assessment of who you feel is the strongest super middleweight world champion right now?
I mean, to say who's the best is kind of hard to say, but I would say, you know, I mean, all those guys are top. I would probably put Plant at the bottom of those names that you just named.
Really?
But Benavidez, yeah, I think Plant is good, but I think he's, you know, you know, he can be beat. He's beatable. I see a lot of flaws in his game. But as far as Benavidez, he's probably the strongest that I've seen amongst all the guys that you just mentioned. But now that I'm coming up to super middleweight division, that, you know, it's interesting. And now these guys have my attention, and I'm going to be studying, looking forward to, you know, what's best, what's next for me in my career. But as far as right now, it's this little weasel that is in my little spine that I can't get out. His name is Gabe Rosado. He's been annoying the hell out of me.
He's doing a good job to try and get the fight.
Lord have mercy, this guy, man. So I don't know. I don't know where my next fight might be, but
is that beef, or is that just like you've been there before? You know the game inside out. You're looking at the world champions. You've got a guy in Gabe Rosado, good fighter, good profile, but for you to and no disrespect to Gabe, you have to pick him.
Sure,
you know what I mean?
For sure.
Like,
and he knows that.
Yeah, but
yeah,
is that his game right now? I mean, I know there was some stuff off camera we saw of you guys on an escalator in Vegas. Then he was at the Phoenix fight, went a little bit, but do you think he's just like a little chihuahua at your heels right now?
Yeah, I just think it's a little envy and it's a little jealousy. You know, I remember him saying something as far as when I was commentating, trying to say I'm trying to be a fake Andre Ward, but I'm a versatile man. I can do many things, you know, and I think that because he's a gatekeeper, I think, you know, it doesn't sit well with him because we all came up together, you know, and for me to surpass him the way that I am and the way that his career has gone, he has to go other routes to get a fight. And what fans don't understand, you know, we all want to do it for the fans as far as picking the best fights, but sometimes there's the personal fights that you want to be able to get out, and it's going to make a good fight as well. So for me, I'm just looking at this fight, you know, like lamb chops right now because he's food.
2 other guys on that list potentially. One, Callum Smith, who's obviously stated that he would love to fight you in the States as well. That's a big fight, good fight, big 168-pounder, and someone that could give you, you know, an opportunity to become a 2-weight world champion.
I love that
2-weight 3-time.
For sure, I love that fight. I think he hasn't truly been tested yet. Especially against a top-notch world-level fighter. I'm not sure if it's been hard for him to get fights at that level. But his last fight with Ryder, if I'm not mistaken, was a very close,
he's another
tricky
guy
fight.
That could be a potential opponent as well. I mean, he proved himself 100%.
Exactly. So it's really so many opportunities out there for me. But the top-notch guys is just, for me, it's exciting because they're all good, and I know they're all going to test me. And now that I'm vouching that I'm going to be my best, and we've just seen me, you know, my last outing, me finally have a chance to be comfortable. And, you know, I made Son of a Legend say no mas in 5 rounds, you know. So give me another opportunity to get acclimated, and let's go for the gusto.
Okay, good stuff. Well, listen, we're gonna wrap out there, Danny. Thanks for joining us. Quick message to the fans. We know you're supposed to be out in June. It'll be around that time once this is all over. July maybe, but not long for you. But a quick message for your fans.
Are we still live? Okay, hold on. Here we go. I think I'm a little froze. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right, cool. You're back. To the fans, I just want to say, everybody stay safe. Stay safe. Be safe out there. It's a crazy world right now. Just stay indoors as much as you can. Only go out for essential things. I know to the boxing hardcore, die-hardcore fans who stay in the gym, you got to be safe. You got to do it indoors because it's a real dangerous world out there. We got to make sure we protect ourselves, get this thing over with, move on to bigger and better things. We'll get over this soon, guys.
I've just got one question from Ben Davison, who's Tyson Fury's former trainer and Billy Joe Saunders. He said, what was the main difference in technicalities between Triple G and Canelo that you found in those fights?
I found Canelo to be a little bit more slippery, trickier, but less active as far as pressure and punch output. But I felt Triple G to be more active as far as his pressure. And even though he missed a lot, I do feel like he was a tougher challenge because he imposed himself. Well, he tried to, at least. He tried to impose himself, and he tried to make it a good go. I think Canelo would just worry about being a counter puncher and fighting in spots where, you know, it could have been more of an entertaining fight, me and Canelo, but I just think the Triple G fight was probably the tougher and, to me, probably one of the best performances as well.
Articulate as ever, Mr. Jacobs.
Thank you.
We'll see you soon, my friend.
Stay
Take
safe,
care of
guys.
yourself. Cheers, Dan.
All right.
Bye, mate.